Namaste Sabiko. Today we have Mr. Arvind Shahid with us. Right. He is currently working as an intern at COINBASE. And if I start naming his ex-internships, then you'll be like, wow. So, few of the companies I'll mention: Apple, Tesla, SAP, IBM, KPMG. What else do you want me to name? I believe the names are enough to tell about his credibility, right? So, I just won't waste more of your time and we'll just begin with the podcast right here. So, the mic is all open. Anything that you would like to say in your introduction, then we can just begin with the podcast.
Growth, consistency, idea, reality. It all begins at one point. Here. Want to know how the industry works or how to build yourself? Learn from experienced people from the industry. Subscribe to know more.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Arvin. Again, really excited to be with Manish here today. I'm currently studying data science at my university, and I love trying to figure out ways to build new products and new features in tech. I'm really excited to share my experiences today.
Perfect. So it's kind of a ritual that we have for our podcast, right? So the first question is always consistent. So the first question is that what is the story? How has your experience been starting from your college life till the companies that you have been to? So how has it all been?
Yeah, it's going well. I would say when I first went to college, I was interested in doing something in machine learning and AI, and that's kind of the career I wanted. So my first couple of internships, I would say, is more data science focused, like data analytics focused. But then when I did my internship at Tesla, I thought it was going to be more data science related, but it actually became more strategic and more management related. I loved it. And from there, I started to learn more skills in product management, program management, project management, and was able to transition my career into that. And that's what I focus my time building my skill sets for the future.
Understandable. Like I have seen a lot of diversity in your profile. Honestly speaking, like every role that you have worked for is different in every company, right? So how did you actually manage, and how were you actually upgrading the whole setup for yourself, as in upgrading the skills to the right time and the right application? So how are you managing everything, and how is the approach been for you?
Yeah, so for me, I know how difficult, like for example, I first wanted to be a data scientist, right? And I know how difficult it is to be a data scientist.
Right.
So I knew that I have to build experience somehow and use that skill set to leverage it for the future. So instead of just only applying to data science roles, I'd also apply to data engineering, machine learning engineering, data analyst, software engineering, anything that's related to it, and build those skill sets. So going into school, I was just learning anything I can and leveraging that to get any type of internships. And from there, I would try to build on that experience to get more and more and give myself a better chance of getting a data science role. And once I did my Tesla internship, I realized I wanted to do product management full time. So what I did is I know how hard it is to get product manager role.
Right.
I look to get any business type of role I can: business analyst, business intelligence, product marketing, product management, project, any type of business role that I know I can get an internship in and use that to make myself stronger and stronger. So when I'm able to actually get these interviews for product management, I can explain as many experiences as I can and get the job compared to other people.
Right, understandable. So, can we just have a brief about every single job role that you have, every single internship role that you have gained, and a brief that how did you actually manage to get in that company? Starting with Apple,
Starting with what?
So, starting with Apple.
Well, starting with Apple.
Right.
So Apple was quite interesting. They have a very weird program where you literally just apply to them, especially in the United States.
Right.
You just apply to them, and you don't know when they're going to reach out, and you don't know what season internship they'll give you. Maybe they'll give you a winter internship, a summer internship.
Oh.
You don't even know the role they're going to give you. You just give your application, and they give you a spot that they think you will fit.
Okay.
So when I applied, that's how it was. But when I did get the interview, how I was able to show that I was the right fit was really looking at their values and what type of impact they're trying to solve,
Right.
and trying to relate the past experiences I had into being able to get those things. So at Apple, I did product marketing. I looked at ways on, improving the sales of some of their headphone products. And that's kind of the interview process for Apple. When it comes to Tesla, that one was interesting. Tesla really, really cares about their mission. So one thing that I really honed in on the interview is doing a lot of research on the industry. So for example, I was working with the energy team, so I did a lot of research on Tesla Energy, on their renewables, on how their team fits with that overarching goal, and how I have the interest, passion, and skill sets to match that. So since it's environmental, I talked about my environmental classes that I've taken. I've talked about how I've done forecasting and with data analytics and how that would help them really try to show that, hey, I'm the perfect fit and I have the perfect cultural values that Tesla has, and I'll be able to get the job done. But I'd say that's how I interviewed for Tesla. When it comes to KPMG, you'll be finding a trend here. Every company I'm interviewing for, they care about their domain. Like KPMG, they would ask me, hey, why do you want to work in the Big Four accounting type industry? Why do you want to be able to work with clients and stuff like that? So you have to show your passion and interest. Be like, hey, I really like working on challenging problems that are different from year to year, right? Every client's different, every challenge is different, and there's so many great opportunities to learn and challenge yourself, right? Showing that you're a good fit for each client is a good way of fitting. And at KPMG, I was a data engineer. So what I did was I was looking at ways to automate these financial statements and give analytics to our auditors for better. So that's KPMG. I know I have a huge list, so I'll try to keep it brief, but IBM, I love that internship a lot. I was a product manager intern, and one of the really cool things about that interview is they asked me very domain specific stuff. So if you're trying to do something like data science or product management, one thing I'll do is really look at who your interviewer is. Look what domain they're in. Because when I interviewed for IBM, they asked me, hey, do you know a lot about on-premise storage, which is the product that product manager managed? So because I had that knowledge, I was able to prepare for that interview and be able to. So that's kind of another great tip. Like really research who these people are, their background, and how you tailor your answers towards them. I'd say that's my process for IBM. When it comes to COINBASE, that one was interesting. It was 4 rounds. I had to do a phone screen. I had to do behavioral, some cases. And one interesting thing about COINBASE is they really care about your experience and understanding of crypto. Even if they don't require it, you having that passion and you explaining how you've done impactful projects in that space can really make you stand out.
Definitely, and that's a fair enough overview about every single internship that you have been to right now. And the thing is that you have already shared a lot of takeaways from in this specific answer itself, right? Because every single internship had a specific takeaway that you already shared, right? And I believe this this will definitely help the students to actually build an approach for themselves as well, because this is how you do the research. While you're applying for a relevant position, alright, while you're looking for a relevant position, you just need to do the research for the the people who are already working on that position, right? So that you can actually get a brief about the products, you can actually get a brief about the environment that the company is offering, right? You can actually get an overview about how is the actual process being carried out in the company, right? Talking to people who are already working on those positions can actually help the students to gain the real insights, right? And also to prepare for the interviews as well, right? In terms of preparing a resume and in terms of getting the insights as well. So that's a fair enough overview, and I'm very happy with the answer, right? Because most of the students can actually extract value from this, right? Okay, let's move to the next question. So how did you actually send your applications to, and any of the most challenging ones that you would like to mention?
Yeah, so one thing that made me really successful is being consistent.
Right.
So there's a lot of things people aren't doing here. So first of all, people need to be applying as early as possible.
Right.
So if you're using a job search like LinkedIn or Indeed, you should be filtering the job posting by posted 24 hours ago. And every day at the same time, if you want to do it at 9 a.m., every day you go and check any new positions and you apply to those for them.
Right.
So you have to be consistent, because there are times where I've applied to jobs and I've gotten emails for the first round interview the next day. And guess what? There are times where I have a job offer from a certain company,
Right.
but that job posting is still posted on LinkedIn. They didn't take it down. So you might be thinking, oh, I should be applying. I might have a chance of getting an interview. Guess what? The interview process is already done. If you apply fast, you have a higher chance of getting an interview. Second of all, really make sure when you're doing job search, you don't just search the one you're interested in. So if you're interested in data science, don't just search up data science internship.
Right.
For example. Search data analyst internship, search data engineering internship, search technology intern, search data intern. Be broad with your search. If you're interested in product management, program management, those type of roles, search business intern, business analyst, anything that's similar and related. Because if you're only wanting to get a data science role and you don't end up getting it, then you're going to be going in the summer with nothing. Right? You need to at least get something, and you can at least leverage those skills. So really apply far and wide and be consistent in applying every day.
Right.
At a certain time, and you will be able to have a much better chance of getting it.
Definitely. And this is also a very great answer. Like, you already shared a lot of takeaways in this as well. Like, these all tips are really valuable. In India right now, most of these students are actually they're not that much seriously taking the course, right? Whatever the course they are pursuing right now. So the thing is that they're just going to take the degree, right? Most of them. So the thing is that they're not building the value. Most of them are not building the value. The people who are actually working hard, they're already cracking good positions, right? But the major chunk is actually struggling because of this itself, right? So like, this is some kind of approach that start doing the broad search, right? Like, most of the students are not even aware about the Boolean search. So they're not even aware how to actually extract the most out of Google search specifically, right? So the thing is that while the students are actually looking for good opportunities, they should actually start looking for a broader horizon, right? They can just find synonyms of a particular term, and they can just start searching those synonyms with the position that they're interested in, right? So that can actually give them a larger piece of job search, right? So that they can have more options in front of them and they can just apply over them, right? And one point that you mentioned was very much important, that actually if you are only looking for a particular specific position, right? So if you don't get it, then you'll be left with nothing, right? So it's better to have something related, if not specifically that, but in some time definitely you might be eligible enough to actually crack the position, right? So that's what it can look for you, right? Okay, so getting back to the interview experience in any of the companies, right? So which has been the most challenging interview experience for you?
I would say definitely Coinbase.
Okay.
They have a very strenuous process. So they have 4 rounds, and each round you really have to highlight the value. So you have to show how your culture aligns. Coinbase specifically, they care a lot about culture. You have to research their cultural tenets and make yourself in the interview be that type of person where they're like, okay, this person fits those cultural tenets, right? Having open for feedback, wanting to push other people to do their best, wanting to make sure that you're transparent in your work and you take accountability. These are things that are really important in the culture, and you have to, when you're explaining your interview questions, you have to be cognizant that you're going to actually do that. Not only that, the competition's really tough. So you can do a good job, but if someone does better, then you don't have a shot.
Right.
So what I did is I did a lot of research on having to understand Coinbase's culture, their company history, the strategic positions, and trying to make sure that I can put a lot of effort tailoring my questions to make sure that it's gonna hit those things, right? The challenging thing about Coinbase is I can't just give a generic answer and hope it'll work. I have to tailor my answer specifically for that company.
Right.
Not only that, they give challenging technical questions. Like at the product, when I was doing product management questions, they're asking me, how do you build Uber Eats from scratch? Or how do you improve Uber Eats? Right? These type of very open-ended, very vague questions. And you have to kind of think, you have to be creative. You can't just memorize something and be able to handle it. You have to be able to be on the spot, like, okay, this is something that Uber Eats is lacking. Here's the competition. Here's what we can do to improve it. Here's how we would design it. Right? So being able to have that thought process, they really like that on the spot, no preparation, that type of work. But if you're able to show and highlight that, show the impact, then you're good. And that was probably my hardest one, but it was really satisfying when I was able to get it off.
Understandable. And the thing is that this approach is like anyone who wants to build this approach, right? So they just need to get the right exposure. They just need to start talking. They need to start communicating, right? You just need to start
Yes.
giving more and more interviews, because these things come with experience, right? You need to actually practice everything on your own initially, but you need some place to actually show your potential, right? Where you can just talk about the particular things that you have actually collected in the past few years, right? So like this reasoning based thinking, right, it is built with the right impact and the right targeted efforts that you're putting in, actually knowing the industry more, right? How much are you actually able to search, right? And definitely doing research is the first and the foremost, like in the most important component of any interview, right? Because you need to be aware about the whole scenario that is existing around, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So that's a really great insight, and a like full of takeaways answer. So like definitely most of the students must have been benefited by the answer itself. So okay, now getting like moving towards the AI thing, right? So how is actually AI influencing your industry specifically, right? And any of the job roles that you have been to that have been impacted by AI till this point, and how actually you are just doing your jobs with the help of AI.
Yeah. So AI, machine learning, all that stuff is really transforming everything.
Right.
So right now, every company, almost every internship I've done has been focusing on how to automate stuff, how to automate data, how to make processes not use as little human labor as possible. Right. The age of manually doing stuff is gone. Now everything's about real time data flows and all this stuff.
Right.
And when it comes to AI, they're trying to use it to replace a lot of the work. Like for example, as a product manager, I'm working on go to market, and go to market is trying to make sure how do you improve the way a product sells.
Right.
So I'm working with marketing teams on this, sales teams on this to make sure the product does better. And one thing that marketing teams do use is emails. And guess what? A lot of our new emails that we're generating, creating to give out to customers are using AI. They're being used in AI. They're using AI, and then they're quickly tailoring them. So an email that would take like 2 hours, 5 hours, a couple of days to make is now being created in 10 seconds, and it just takes 5 minutes of editing. You're done. It transforms. It transforms it all. In Coinbase, for example, we are using something called CBGPT, which is Coinbase GPT. This is our own LLM. And they're using it to help our customer support agents give better experiences to our customers. Right? So when a customer calls for issues, these agents are using AI to actually help search out the right answers for how to give best support and all these things. And guess what? It's optimizing efficiency. It's making things better, because guess what? A lot of our call support agents, they're from Philippines, they're from India, they're from Mexico, and their English might not be the best, but a lot of the customers are American, they're from the UK, from Canada. It can be very hard to be able to have that translation. But guess what? With AI, it can help. It helps that communication transform. So every company right now, they're trying to figure out ways that how do we empower our workforce and make them more efficient. Make them, instead of doing these boring, repetitive tasks, them actually do the hard thinking tasks and let the AI do the boring manual stuff.
Right.
A lot of automations going on, and really being able to leverage it for your own work. So how do you use this in your own work? If you're an engineer, you should be leveraging AI to create templates, and actually make the coding process faster. As a product manager, you can be using AI to do a lot of market research and using that. So instead of like spending 2 hours researching competitors, with AI, you can do it in 30 minutes, and you can save that time to utilize it for something more valuable and make more impactful decisions for your company. It's all about freeing time so you can do more impactful stuff for the company and highlight your value. And that's what AI is doing.
Right, definitely. And when we talk about the exposure that the students can actually get about AI, right? So what actually is happening is that people have heard about AI. Most of them are just like they're aware about the only term AI, right? Most of them, because they are not applying it. They're not exploring AI, right? The thing is that there are certain platforms, specific mother websites that you can say, right, that contain a list of all the AI platforms that are doing a specific job, right? So you can just search for a specific keyword that you want to actually work upon, and it will give you a list of n number of AI websites, right, that are performing the same job. And most of them might be free. Some of them might be paid. Just explore and do your job, right? So the thing is that it can also give the students an edge in terms of getting the right internship and getting the right job if they're just trying to search for it, because that's how they can just start leveraging AI, right? Even for job search, even for internship search, even for writing their resume, even for incorporating good keywords that can actually help them with the ATS, right? So the thing is that it is just all based on the exploration that they need to do for a few days, right? Once they can build the habit, then actually it can transform the whole landscape for them, right? Starting from ground zero to ground 100, right? You can just like upscale yourself in a span of around a month, right? And you won't be able to recognize yourself where you were earlier, right? Because
Completely agree.
little bit of targeted efforts can actually change everything. And like looking at you while listening to you, the thing is that I can see a lot of experience coming out of the answers that you're already giving, right? So like this is a really great experience to hear to you as well, right? So we'll just move to the last part of the podcast, right? We even just extended a lot more. Any of the suggestions that you can give to the students, right? Who are currently studying at your place or in any other place in this world, right? So we all just share a similar bond that we are all students, like we are all learners, right? So the thing is that we are all in the same industry, and the environment might be different, the people might be different, right? The companies are also similar that are here, but the culture is different, right? So
Yes.
any of the tips that you would like to share with the students that could actually help them out with the profession journey?
Yes. There's a lot of different things I could say. So when it comes to interviewing, one thing is first of all, I did talk about researching your interviewer, but I didn't really expand on it. When at the end of interviews, they usually give time to ask questions. You can ask questions to them, right?
Right.
You spend that time, beforehand, before the interview, you should do research on who the interview is and just generally ask about them. Like, hey, like I saw that you used to be a software engineer at Apple, but now you're a data scientist for Tesla. Like, what made you interested in that jump? I'm really curious about that journey.
Right.
What made data science at this company compelling to you? Like, really make it personable. A lot of people, they just see an interview as like interrogation, and they don't want to make it personable. Here's the thing: yes, they care about the skills you have, but they also want someone that they can see being their coworker, that they can feel comfortable. Hey, this could be someone who can be my friend, right? And being personable. Not only that, when I said doing research, really mean it. Like for me, when I interviewed for companies like Coinbase or Snowflake, I watched literally the Coinbase documentary on the CEO. For Snowflake, I watched their conference with the NVIDIA CEO. And from doing that, I became more of a fan of these companies. I was able to see their overall visions. And when I talk about, hey, I saw their Snowflake's keynote conference with NVIDIA, that impresses interviewers because not many people are doing so. Really, you have to find ways to make yourself stand out.
Right.
So that's interviewing tips. When it comes to resume, make sure you are able to highlight impact and show that through metrics, right? Because here's the thing, everyone who's applying to the same jobs as you, they have the same skills as you, right? If you're interested in AI, they know how to do the AI stuff. If you're interested in marketing, they already know all the marketing stuff you do. So what makes you stand apart? It's what you have done with the skills that you've learned to make an impact in the past.
Right.
So how can you highlight, hey, I've been able to see this problem, I thought of this solution, I got the right people together, and this is the outcome. That's what people want to see. And if you can explain that in the interview as well, hey, I saw this current issue, I had an issue with the status quo, I'm going to bring the right people, I'm going to bring my idea, get this thing done, and look, I was able to save the company $500,000.
Right.
That's what a company wants to hear. They don't want to say, oh, I know how to do these tools, I know how to use this tool. Everyone else knows how to use this tool. But if you say, hey, I leverage this tool to do this, now you're standing out.
Understandable.
Yeah, so that's the way you want to frame yourself. You want to frame yourself as the prize, right? If you're just someone who's just eager to learn and that's it, sure. As an intern, I don't know everything. I'm not someone who knows it all, but at the same time, I have to have some sort of value to provide for this company, so that they're like, okay, this is someone who has potential to be a superstar. You want to present yourself as someone like that. Okay, so that's how you can optimize your resume.
Right.
And I'd say a final tip is really, on your own time, just explore different skill sets, explore different things, explore how to do this interview preparation, right? For software engineering internships, there's a lot of coding interviews. Make sure you're good at those, right? A lot of people, they get to the interview process, they don't practice too much on the technical side. If you're a product manager, they don't practice enough. And when they get to that dream company, they interview like, oh, I had a friend who interviewed at NVIDIA. I had a friend who interviewed at Meta. But guess what? They didn't prepare enough in the technical, and those take months in advance. Then they unfortunately did not do too well and they really regret it. They say, oh, I wish I prepared more, I wish I did this. So make sure that, when you're getting into it, you feel confident. And that's why applying to as many places as possible is good, because even if it's a company you're not interested in, you're still getting interview experience. You're still getting better at how you answer your questions.
Right.
You're still getting better at how you praise your impact. You're getting better at how you explain your coding interviews.
Right.
And once you're able to practice with these companies, even if you're not interested in them, when the companies you're really interested in come around, you're going to be damn prepared to be like, okay, I got this. I've already done 50. There's no way I will be nervous compared to how it would be when I first started. Because when I first started, my first ever interview was so terrible. I would give like 5 minutes per answer. My answer would be 5 minutes. I gave zero impact. I was saying, oh, I just know how to do this. Like, no, so it's okay to not do well in the beginning.
Understandable, yeah.
But again, by giving yourself as many opportunities to practice, you're gonna eventually do it.
Definitely. And this is, I believe, the most important thing, just pushing yourself so hard that you could actually, be the best person in the line. Like, and that will only happen with the experience that you can cater through these interviews itself. Because if you want to get better at interviews, you need to give more and more interviews, as simple as that, right? If you want to enhance your communication skills, because communication is a very integral component of an interview, right? Because you need to know how to represent the skill set that you're carrying, right? Because if you won't be able to even talk about it, then what's the point of attending the interview, right? So the thing is that you should be a good speaker, at least. That's the bare minimum. If you're not carrying any specific skills that are needed for the interview, so that can still be managed because you can learn those skills, right? But communication needs a lot of grinding. Communication needs a lot of efforts from the starting itself, because you need to actually be a good communicator in if you're actually looking forward to represent yourself anywhere, not specifically interview, but anywhere in your life, right? And I believe that's all about this podcast as well, because you already shared a lot of insights already. And like everything just came through your experience, and like there is so much takeaway in this video that if the students just start noting it down, so they can just actually create a whole workflow for themselves and just start implementing it. And one thing more attracted me a lot when I was going through your profile. So the thing is that you just posted one thing about the email template that you used, right? I believe you remember. So the thing is that like what specifically was mentioned in that? I don't want you to reveal the whole template because it was all censored, right? So the thing is that like any specific takeaways that you would like to just give at the end about it?
Yeah, so I can give some advice, because here's the thing. When it comes to this is one thing I think is valuable too, like getting referrals from recruiters, how to actually message recruiters, stuff like that, right? Because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't have too much experience, I need to find a way to get my foot in the door. And cold emailing is a great opportunity. What I did in my email is pretty much have a couple bullet points, just 3 or 4. If you go to a really good school, put that as one bullet point. If you have really good internships in the past, put it as a bullet point.
Right.
If you've won hackathons, if you're like a 5-star at Code Chef, or you're like elite code, like a certain rank, or you're a Kaggle rank, some sort of thing that you can highlight. Just highlight these couple bullets, like these really good stuff that will make you stand out, and just say, hey, I fit well with your guys' company culture. I'd be really excited to get an opportunity.
Right.
And explain in the email that, hey, I already applied on my end. Here's my resume linked in this email.
Right.
Here's can you please forward this to hiring manager? But you need to make sure that don't make it seem like it's charity, that they have to be nice, because I know a lot of people who just cold message saying, oh, please, like, I'd be really thankful for this opportunity. No, you have to highlight all your achievements and be like, hey, this is someone that the recruiter should be like, this is someone we need to be getting this talent.
Right.
And to find these recruiters, what you do is you search up, for example, if you're interested in Google, you search up Google University Recruiter on LinkedIn, find that name of that person. So maybe if their name is John Smith, then you do on Gmail, john.smith@google.com.
Right.
And there's a high chance that that person is that email.
Right.
That's how you find it. Really? So that's how you do it. Another great way of getting referrals, getting connections to be able to get interviews is looking at your past alumni.
Right.
So if you're a Harvard student, for example, right? What you can do is you can reach out to people who are in Google who went to Harvard University,
right,
and you can reach out and say, hey, I'm also a Harvard alum. I'm interested in working for Google. I'm really curious to hear about your experiences. I saw that you did this and this, and I'm really interested to hear about your journey. And when you reach out to people who are your university alumni, there are a high chance of them responding to you and giving you insights.
Right, definitely.
Right. So yeah, when it comes to email template, highlight quickly the value you have and say, I already applied on my end.
Right.
Can you please forward this hiring manager? And when it comes to LinkedIn, try to reach out to people who have a common background as you. Maybe they went to the same school, maybe they're from the same hometown, something that you can show that you guys have some sort of personal connection.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Use that to be able to have a coffee chat with them. You don't have to ask them for a referral. Don't come in with that.
Right.
But down the line, maybe 6 months later, you see a job opportunity. You be like, hey, you reach out, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation 6 months ago. I saw this position come out and I think I'll be a great fit. And then that person will feel, hey, this person wasn't trying to use me. They didn't just want to talk to me just for a referral.
Right.
They wanted to build a connection, but then they saw an opportunity down the line and they're asking me for help.
Understandable.
That's how you communicate. If you're just trying to talk to people just to get something out of them, no one wants to help. But if you're just a genuine friend, a genuine connection that you build,
right,
then people are like, okay, yeah, I don't mind 4 months down the line, a year down the line, they said they need some help, I don't mind helping. That's the mindset you need to have, right? You don't want to be value seeking, you want to be value giving. When you're giving details, make sure you're giving value.
Definitely. And I believe this is the most valuable tip out of the podcast. Like the most valuable, because this is how you actually network, right? Because there is a lot of misconception that has been built in the minds of most of the students, that you just need to connect to people on LinkedIn and just drop a text that how are you doing? I was looking for an internship, this is my resume, and just go through it, and that's how it is happening. But they're just getting rejected just because why will I just look at some kind of a message that is just asking me to do something for them without even knowing them, right? And this is the most valid point that you have shared, that this is how networking happens. Right. Build a genuine connection. Take some time. Definitely opportunities will be there. Then just ask them out. Right.
Exactly.
So like simple, straight to the point, and that's how it happened. Right. Thank you for your time. I believe this is all that we have to ask, and like you have already contributed a lot and invested a lot of time on this podcast itself. Right. And the thing is that like definitely students will be benefited by this podcast. I'm sure about it, because this podcast itself has a lot of value. Right. And I'm very thankful to you that you invested so much of your time on this podcast, right? And I'll be looking forward to having more discussions with you in future as well, because definitely we can have a good connection, right? And we can have more discussions together, so that we can just try to benefit students more and more and more. Anyhow, right? Anyways, if we could just contribute to the whole discussion, right? So it will be valuable for the students any day, right? So yeah. We'll be looking forward to have more podcasts, and this is how we can just end it. Anything that you have to say, then we can just end the podcast.
Yeah, all I'll say is, you're doing an awesome job here. Keep up the good work. I'm really happy that you're building out a platform to help out these students. I really enjoyed, giving some time of my day and really helping out these people, because I know how stressful and nerve-wracking the job application process is, right? So any way that I can help people, would be awesome.